good evening, everyone. Hello. I
Good
hope you are
evening.
all having a pleasant night. Tonight we have a very special guest. Reverend Hesperus, would you like to share a little bit about our special guest?
Oh, absolutely. Tonight's guest is the Michigan Chapter Chair of Bloodlines International, a Nightkind Community organizer, an award-winning musician, and a reverend. Yet somehow they made time to join us here tonight. So we're very grateful to have you on the show with us tonight, Reverend Tempestus.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone. You can call me
Hi.
Tempest, but it's a pleasure to see you both. It's great to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much for being here.
coming.
Of course.
All right. There is so much to dive into here with you. What
Hi, Chad.
I'd like to do is, Hesperus, are there any questions you'd like to start with?
Oh, golly, yeah. Uh, Reverend, I have never actually set foot in Michigan myself yet. What is the scene like up there for those of us who haven't had the pleasure?
Well, the pagan community is quite vivid and quite active here in the state of Michigan, from peninsula to peninsula. We have a wonderful amount of people of different beliefs, cultures, um, you know, walks of life, different paths of paganism. As for the Nightkind community, which I'm representing, it's a little spread out. So Michigan is composed of 80 counties. Between two different peninsulas, basically two different states. I grew up closer to the Wisconsin border, so in the far north and west of the state. The majority of the big cities, however, are in lower Michigan. So we've got Detroit, Flint, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, Muskegon. Some of the larger areas, not in the UP where I'm from. We've got Marquette, which is where Chad was checking in from. But yeah,
Oh,
um, but right now we're real spread out. A lot of the Nightkind community, vampire, Therian, otherkin, uh, you know, witches, dark pagans, and black swans, allies, etc., lie in the urban areas, and then with a few in the outliers in the 80 counties, which I'm trying to bring together.
hmm.
So
That's awesome. So, looking back, was there a defining moment when you realized you weren't simply participating in the night kind community, but that you were called in some ways to go ahead and help with shaping it
oh,
in
sure.
Michigan?
So it actually does go back to my growing up. Like I said, I grew up quite rural. I grew up in an area that is quite conservative, is isolated, and is an area that generally doesn't like to socialize with other parts of the state or really the rest of the US. I'm not giving it a bad name. That's just how the UP is. Um, and when I found out about myself, I was in sixth grade and alone, no internet, no resources. Our library is tiny, where I was from, and I by chance found a book on witchcraft that I was able to read through and kind of get my bearings on that, but nothing night kind. In fact, until I moved to go to college 7 years later, I didn't know anything about the vampire community or any of the other communities that encompass the night kind community. And thinking about that and thinking about what I went through to walk into my own truth and to become myself, I had a soft spot in my heart for other people who might be going through that. Like I said, we have a lot of rural counties here. The fact of the matter is, I run a population on my Bloodlines group to see exactly where people are from that are in the state of Michigan. We have like one on all these different counties that are super rural and super conservative. And all I can think of is, do they know they've got anybody? because I sure didn't. And so my goal has always been as first of all as a pagan leader, and we can get into that later, but also as a Nightkind leader, nobody's left behind. You all have something valid. You're all part of a community. You should know you have a community, and you should be able to grow and learn and have that opportunity. So that's honestly what pulled me into more of a leadership role. I wanted to make sure others felt that they weren't so alone. You know, it's already unique enough in a city to be as we are, but to be rural is a little harder, you know. So I guess that's the answer to my question on that.
Awesome. And what has the night kind path revealed about yourself that perhaps within the pagan traditions, um, you didn't find for yourself?
Sure. So one thing particularly, going back to my place within the pagan community, I ran a group in the state of Michigan for a number of years. I was a high priestess. I went through and became a third degree Alexandrian. So I got all of my degrees and everything like that, and was part of that for a while. One thing that was lacking, and this is not necessarily the case in the pagan community now, but in the early 2000s, late 1990s, it was a time when there wasn't as much tolerance or acceptance of people who were night kind. So as a result, when I got to college, when I started to become a leader, I hid because in this state here, if I had said, "Hey, I'm also a vampire," it would have been a bad thing. It wasn't as accepted. It wasn't looked at as something that you could identify as. It was we were still in my, and mind you, the things I say are going to come from my own perspective here. So there might be others who disagree. And I'm not perfect, but the things that I experienced were that things were very white light here. Things were very focused on the very new agey kind of movement that came out of the late 90s. And that at that time didn't seem to have room for people who were vampire, other Therian, etc. You know, so what I found in walking into myself, walking into my truth, was actually fulfillment. To not have to hide that part of myself that I hid for so many years, to find a balance between both light and dark, and to find my twilight, so that in between, to be fully me. And I didn't feel like I could be that way in the paths I followed within the pagan community.
Awesome. Reverend Hesperus?
Oh my, yes. I know a lot of our audience may be old enough to relate to that experience of trying to find a place that valued the work that we felt called to do, that we needed to do, right in the midst of the satanic panic and or the fallout of it,
Hmm.
when even communities that traditionally would work on this sort of thing together were far too fearful to approach it. Uh, we really needed a community then, and that I think is so poetic about your reviving the activity of Bloodlines International today. Could you tell us a little bit about its history, where Bloodlines International came from originally?
Absolutely. So, Bloodlines International came out of the mid '90s movement. So the modern vampire community, first of all, really got its start in the mid 1990s. That's about the time when you started to see houses and individuals kind of emerging from the shadows, so to speak, coming in and starting to build websites, starting to make contact with each other. You know, it was very cloak and dagger for a very long time because it had to be with the satanic panic. Um, there are a lot of secrets, a lot of secrets for safety's sake. Well, when it started to emerge on online and had a larger reach, these communities that were so social and so together, that maybe at the club, maybe in somebody's home or something like that, they moved separately. It was good for one thing in that there was a further reach for people like me, who didn't know they had a community. But for everyone else, that social aspect, that connection, which in my opinion is a very important aspect of the community, it was lacking. Everybody went behind their screens. Everybody, was connecting through chat rooms and through message boards rather than in person. So back in the late 90s, there was a chat room, and it was called oh, why am I blanking here? Vampire Cafe, actually. My bad. Vampire Cafe was a chat, and it was in the late 90s. Vampire Cafe had several members who decided they were going to make a meetup, and that meetup was down in New Orleans. And so they formed one of the first gatherings that really took place of vampires down in New Orleans. And from that, they kind of liked it, and so they started to kind of do more. And as they started doing more, they decided to turn these gathers into a group, which became Bloodlines. That's what they called their group. And you know eventually it started to become so popular that they decided that, hey, why not try this in some other areas? Let's expand it into different states. And so what they would do is they would find somebody who could be the leader in that particular state, the chapter chair, like I am, and that person would hold a meetup. And those meetups would bring in the new members and essentially form that chapter. Um, and so in the early 2000s, this became really big. It was in all 50 states. And then eventually, Bloodlines, there was a split in the group, which Bloodlines International formed from, which is the group that I represent. Um, Bloodlines International went to all continents except for Antarctica, which is pretty neat. There were chapters everywhere. And, people coming together, people getting to know each other, accepting each other, it was more expansive in the membership, in that um, a lot of the groups, at least the ones that I've researched, were very stringent, particular on who was allowed in. Bloodlines let in people who were of similar mind. They wanted to come together and have a social scene. They wanted to come together and learn with each other and get out from behind those computer screens. And was quite successful. Bloodlines International is owned by and run by Old World Vampire, who goes by Oldie. We love him, and he's in Florida and helps me out a whole lot on my group. Has helped with forming some other chapters, and we have a lot of interest. At least I've seen a lot of interest in reviving some of these chapters, which have since closed before. So, does that answer your question?
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Yep. And
Speaking of which, do you have any upcoming gatherings of any kind planned for
Well,
Bloodlines in the future?
well, right now here in Michigan, because it's so expansive, we are kind of looking at a more individual sort of place. So the things I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it more diverse in the sorts of scenes we go into. There are some people who don't drink or
Mhm.
don't want to be in a bar scene, so I'm trying to find areas like for coffee shops and for different festivals. Doesn't necessarily have to be night kind or goth related, just a place that we can go and gather and do some things. One of them that I have coming up is actually going to be on July 11th. It's going to be here in Lansing, Michigan, and it's going to be at a goth night that's held by one of my favorite DJs here, DJ Mary X. She is also a priestess and clergy with the Satanic Temple here in the capital region. And so that's going to be one of the things that I'm doing, but I'm also petitioning my members to see where else they would like to have, because, it's our group, not just mine. Um, So, and then I've also been in chats with a couple of people in the background. We're in planning to try to do some, perhaps a monthly online educational opportunity. One of the community leaders from Flint, actually here, who's run groups before, run meetups before, and we are in the process of getting some things together and chatting, and I'm really excited about it. I'd like to be able to offer that sort of opportunity to the community here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
When it comes to the future of Bloodlines, 50 years down the road, for example, what are your hopes that those who come into it will take away as they continue to grow the community with you?
Sure. Um, Well, something for me that is very important is diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI efforts are incredibly important, especially in our growing community. We've come from a place where it can be vampire exclusionary to a place where we have to be, we have to draw on all voices. When it comes down to it, we have very small communities. If we were to look at our communities individually, if we don't make a concerted effort to come together and share education and really try to look each other in the eye, and yeah, maybe we don't agree on everything, but learn from each other, I don't see a future without that. So, my takeaway, what I hope to see in the future of my state here and, in the greater Nightkind community, is that we will be able to have these meetings with vampire, otherkin, Therian, you know, witches, dark pagans, um, black swans, donors, etc., and be able to learn from each other and build our community together, because together we're stronger than if we're just separate. So my hope, bring the state together, have more events where we can all share in our experiences, whether they be online or in person. I'd hope for a little bit of both, and move forward with strength, evolve, you know.
What are some of the struggles that you had in the beginning with putting the chapter together?
Sure. Well, like I said, I've run groups in the past. The logistics of it are not as big of a deal, because I'm an old hand at some of those things. Online though, one of the problems that I run into is that we are a very individualized community. And a lot of us are kind of distrustful, and we have good reason for that. You know, you don't just go to everybody and say, "Hey, look at me. This is what I am," because people might think you're crazy. I mean, they might still, but that's okay. It's one of those things where, are they legitimately in this for the right reasons? Do they want to cause sensationalism? Are they somebody who's just interested in acting out movies? Um, there's a lot of questions that go into that. There's also the challenge that many of the people who I interact with didn't realize they had a community, or it was even possible. And so when they come in, some of them, this is not all of them, uh, they have a lot of questions. And so having to build up a trust, which is difficult to do in anybody. It's the same way in the pagan community, not in my experience, not as much so, but in the Nightkind community can be a very difficult thing. And showing, hey, I'm a trustworthy person. I'm in this for the right reason. I go to work. I make money, do a job, and am a whole person who cares. You know, that's something that's taken a little bit of time to kind of work up. And then also, my one challenge that I really do have going on right now is to try to connect with the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Um, that's a bit more spread out and a little more difficult. What other challenges can I say I have? Um, getting together in person events is a bit difficult sometimes, just because of how spread out our state is. But I feel like since that beginning, we're seeing progress. We're starting to find ourselves, and with any group, niche, new age, um, other identity, uh, etc., extra natural, it's going to take time. And so patience is something that you have to have going into this, and not expecting everything to work out exactly that way all at once. So it's more of a challenge with me and myself, trying to make sure that, hey, I take this at a reasonable pace and don't rush it in because I want to do it right, if that makes sense. So
It does.
Yeah. Well, speaking of pacing and rhythm, uh, if you'll pardon the clumsy segue, another another of your project that I wanted to make sure we made time to promote tonight is Nightkind Collective of Artists, where you share experiences and the profound art of creating art as a Nightkind community member. I'd love to hear more about that.
Oh, sure. All right. So I run a group called Nightside Performing Arts Collective. It is a small group that is for performing artists within the community. So anybody who has that kind of relationship with an audience member, it could be online. These days, we see a lot more online performers, um, or it could be in person. So I I'm a musician. I sing. I sing. I play guitar. I play a lot of different instruments because I enjoy it, and it makes me happy. Um, I like to be able to make that connection with an audience and help them to feel the music that I'm feeling. It's an energy exchange. It's a relationship. It's really a kind of a sacred thing. And for people who are within the Nightkind community, that energy exchange, there's just nothing like it. When you're a performer and you convey those, that feeling to your audience and they give that back to you, that's amazing thing. And so what I'm trying to look for in people who join this group are people who dance, people who sing, people who get on the stage and act, people who put that mood and that feeling out and bring their audience in with them, you
Mm.
know so uh, it's an amazing feeling. If you've ever been on a stage and you've ever sang in front of people, or you've ever been on a stage and you've acted, there's nothing like it. At least for me, there isn't. So that's what I'm getting at. It's a very sacred relationship, though, that energy. Um, and I'm happy to talk to anybody about it who's interested. So
That's great. Um, oh yes, there we go. Sorry, I lost my place for a moment.
we all lose
Uh,
our place occasionally, Hesperus.
I would love to hear more about your experience as a pagan leader. I know you had mentioned it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about that.
So I ran a group in mid Michigan. Started out as a college group and evolved into a community group. We had psychic fairs, we had balls, we had all kinds of fun. And on the spiritual side, we also had rituals on the Sabbats and the Esbats, so the full moons and then the wheel of the year. Um, when I started that group, I came into that group as one of the state representatives for a group called Witches Against Religious Discrimination, which was fighting for the rights of neo-pagans within my state, but they had branches in all different states throughout the U.S. Coming out of the 90s with, the military didn't grant Wicca a place until I believe it was 1993. If I'm thinking back correctly, there was still this misunderstanding, still this need for um, trying to dispel myths and such. Uh, so the group came out of that, and then with it came my interest in continuing to lead. And as a leader, and when you're coming in and you have a lot of new people, it's important to be able to help teach and to help guide and to help um, show them the beauty of this path. A lot of seekers come in, they don't know, they're like, I think I'm interested in witchcraft. I think I'm interested in paganism, but I really don't know that much. So, being I was an ordained minister, still am, and, was interested in religion, and that's what my studies were in college, and that's what my degrees were in. Uh, I wanted to make sure I gave them the guidance that they needed. And so I'd set up rituals. I'd set up house blessings. I'd set up, I'd work with spirits because I can see spirits and interact with them quite well, and do a bit of mediumship myself. And just, I wanted to be a guide. I wanted to I wanted to help people to find their way, find their path, create a family, you know, of allies, and in the process, be able to dispel negativity and ignorance. Um, that's my path with paganism. And I'm still a neo pagan, but, with a little extra something.
How has your experience as a pagan leader helped you approach the night kind uh, spiritual, if we're looking at it from an aspect of spirituality?
Well, one thing to remember is that within the Nightkind community, there's a diversity of spirituality. We're a diverse amount of people, from different cultures, different religions, different spiritualities or lack thereof, um, different ways of looking at the world. And so, one of the things that my background as a pagan leader prepared me for is the fact that we're not all going to be the same. We all have different ideas, and we need to learn from each other to get by. Um, my my big takeaway, my one thing I want to be able to do is be there for people in their times of need, in their times of celebration, in their times of loss, of birth, of rebirth, of awakening, those milestones, those things that are important, their marriages or hand fastings or what have you, whatever they want to call it, the way that they join with somebody they love. um, if I'm going to take anything into there, one, I don't know everything, and that's the way I took it with the pagan community. Two, I want to learn more, also the way I took it with the pagan community. uh, Three, we have a very beautiful people within the Nightkind community who should be celebrated. And four, on the base level, we are all a little human. we all have things that we enjoy, that we love, that we need to celebrate and be recognized for. And a takeaway for me out of that is to allow everybody to be able to have a part in that celebration. You know, not just be the only one doing it, to include people and to make it feel like it's meaningful for them too, I guess.
That's an awesome answer. Let's see, what else do I have on my book here? Let's see. What do you believe that people are seeking when they come to events that you hold? Or um, what things do you think they are trying to discover about themselves as examples?
One of the big things I notice is that people are seeking to be believed,
Mm.
because if you think about it, it's like I was talking about with movies and such. Somebody who goes, it's very hard because for somebody who's night kind, you can't exactly come out to all your family members and say, "Hey, here I am." You have to be very selective on who you talk to for your own safety and for the safety of the community, you know? And finding somebody who's a kindred spirit, finding somebody who will listen, somebody who will believe you and talk to you about it. Hey, that's a wonderful thing. You know, I have people who approach me to go to coffee and one on one just to chat because they want to be able to be believed. They want to find out more. They want to learn and know why is this happening to me? And that's a big one for me. Why believe me? Do you believe me? I'm having a hard time believing myself. Am
Mm,
I crazy? And it's no. You know what? You're probably not. You've got some things going on, and let's chat about them. Let's find out what you got going on. Let's find out what you're feeling. Another thing, community to find. Hey, there's others besides trying to get believed. It's hey, I'm believed, but let's all celebrate together that we are ourselves. We are part of this group that we never knew existed, and isn't that wonderful? And also, where can I learn more about me? Where can I learn more about them? You know, for my events that I'm doing, I'm just in the beginning processes of really getting my events together. But that is my experience thus far. Is people want to be believed? People want to a celebration of their community, and they want to learn, you know, and have a good time. I always wanna have a good time. I mean, if you can't have some fun with it, it's not all serious. If you're too serious, everybody's gonna fall asleep. It's not no, thank you. But to have fun, go out and dance, go have a cup of coffee and a laugh, watch a movie, you know?
absolutely. You've mentioned one of your passions, one of the things that you feel called to improve about the community is accessibility.
Yes.
Uh, you were geographically isolated from the community for so long yourself.
Mhm.
And what are some of the rooms for improvement that you've noticed in the Nightkind community as far as uh, remaining or becoming more accessible to some of its community members who might be similarly isolated for other reasons from the
Mm.
community right now?
Yeah, definitely. So one of a couple of the things I've noticed, and these are actually feedback from people that I interact with. A big portion of the information that the community gets is not necessarily in person. We've talked about this. It's online. So when you're dealing with online, there's a big accessibility thing here. ADA, okay? We're talking about standards, Americans with Disabilities Act. Many of the websites that I have seen that people can access information are not ADA compliant. You can't take a screen reader and go to those sites. It's hard enough to navigate them when you're somebody who is sighted.
Mm,
For those who um, need to have teleprompt or need to have the words done in a different way, or those who have trouble clicking, or those who you know need a little bit extra time. We need to have that, or speak another language. So a lot of the resources I've seen, and this is not across the board, are in English. If you're not an English speaking person, that can be difficult unless you have translation software that's available to you. And even then, translation software can be a little funny. Something might be just flipped up, and with concepts as specific as some of the information we find on our websites, there needs to be better translation. Okay. Getting away from the web though. Let's talk about venues. So somebody wants to go to a ball, for example, wants to go to a ball, wants to go to vampire ball. And that vampire ball is held on the lower level of a 3-level building that does not have elevators because it's been grandfathered in by a city for being historical. That is excluding somebody who has mobility issues. And we can't be excluding members of our community and be able to at the same time embrace them. We have to provide resources and ways for everybody to get involved. And that is a serious lack that I see in the community. That is a thing that is a soapbox for me. We need to find ways or people within our community who can help with this sort of thing. We all have different skills. This is not unattainable. It might take time though. But that's, yeah, I find the accessibility on a number of levels needs to be improved. We can't rely on where we were at in the early 2000s, late 1990s to make this community evolve and include everybody.
Right, absolutely. And that I found to be increasingly alienating to the elders of our community.
Mm,
Some of the folks that I think it's arguably most important are able to make appearances on a regular basis so that the newcomers to the community know who the sources of wisdom are, know where this community came from.
mhm.
They cannot physically make it increasingly because of the perfectly normal processes of aging that are inevitable, even amongst those of us who do it exceptionally gracefully. Uh, Eventually, we're going to need things to be on the ground floor or an elevator or, some sort of accommodation.
Well, and
Uh,
just saying that, Hesperus, that just gives one way that we can be more accessible is by choosing our venues very carefully. If it is on a one level, if you do, or if a building has ramps, I mean, and to get to where you need to be, yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Uh, to have a one level. Yeah, you want to go to your dark and your deep and your basement venue. But if your dark and deep and basement venue won't allow a grand elder who has mobility issues to enter, is it really worth it? You
right.
know, you know, or make some way to get them in. That's yeah. I agree with you.
What are some of the common misconceptions that a lot of people make when it comes to what a vampire is and isn't? And this is a question I ask a lot, but it's because a lot of people that do watch the show that come in really they don't know.
Sure. Um, and I think it's important for them to know because, and there's a lot of different definitions when it comes to what exactly makes a vampire. Let's be honest about this. We all have a little bit of a variation. For me, uh, I'm an energy worker and I'm somebody who has a lack of energy on a very basic level for me that needs to supplement. I do that in a number of ways. That's very private, but it's basically when I look at what a vampire is, it's a person who um, is somehow lacking that essential energy that they have. Be it whether they believe that they have been reincarnated and is a certain essence to them that passes on to another body and continues forward, or however they believe it. This is a person who needs to supplement through energy around them, through the elements, through, um, some people do blood. It's not as, it's a very dangerous thing. A lot of people don't because there's too many dangers that come with that. And that's not across the board. Not everybody does that. Um, or sex. or there's a lot of different ways to obtain energy, and consent is very important, especially for me. Consent is a big thing. You don't just go out and be like, yeah, gonna do bad things to you. We're not, no. Vampires are people on the base level, on the physical level. We are people who have a variation of how we feel on the inside and how our energy feels. We might feel like it's larger than us. Might not feel like we're in touch with our body, like our body is not quite right, or there's a lot of different definitions for that. But yeah, that's it's a very extensive question. That is the basics of what I can get into with that. You know, does that kind of answer?
Absolutely, it does.
Okay.
When it comes to other kin,
Mhm.
not many people that people really know the term from what I've discovered. So
Sure.
could you explain that a little bit?
So I will first of all say that I am not an expert on otherkin. Saying that would make me disingenuous. What I do know of otherkin, and I have some great friends who are otherkin, is that there's a number of different identities that go into that. Things from everything from identifying as fae or fairy to identifying as this particular animal, their spirit or their essence as another animal, like a panther or a wolf or um, a dragon or phoenix, or a lot of other things that go into that. They um, it's a separate identity from vampire, but at the same time, some vampire identify as other kin. Um, you know, we're not just one or the other, and some people are a little of everything or a little bit of both. They're unique. But yeah, it's an identity that goes. Well, it's other. I I don't know how I feel about the term otherkin sometimes, because it feels like you're othering people. It's like, notice them for their identity. Do you identify as Fae? Wonderful. That's great. How do you identify? Bavanshi? Wonderful. Uh, how do you identify? I identify as a wolf. Okay, great. You have a wolf spirit. Wonderful. Your essence is wolf. Your essence is panther. Your essence is whatever. You know, that's that's what I see in the other kin community. Like I said, I'm sure there are watchers out there who are watching this who have different definitions or more expansive definitions, but I see it as another beautiful way of being Nightkind. And I'm willing to learn as much as I can to make sure that I do the most for my membership.
Thank
What
you.
would you say is your vision for future generations of the Nightkind community? What would you like the community to look like? Let's say the very next generation, let's say maybe just 20 years from now.
I'd like to see us more communicative and less divided. That's what I'd like to see, honestly. I don't want it to just be vampires are better than other kin, are better than whoever. I want it to be we're all talking to each other and we're all having dialogue and we're all learning from each other. And in 20 years, I would certainly hope that we'd move further towards that,
Mm.
you know, towards that inclusion and on an equal playing field, not on a one's better than the other playing field.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure that your efforts to improve accessibility, inclusivity, and recognition and celebration, for that matter, of the true diversity that is at the foundation of the Nightkind community. Not to mention, Father Sebastian just last week was talking, if I recall, Raven, about the importance of these other adjacent communities in the early days of the vampire community. We
Mhm.
wouldn't really have a vampire community to be so separatist about if we hadn't had a lot of support from some other different but similarly weirdos out there.
I'm honored to just be the person following Father Sebastian. If you're watching Father Sebastian, thank you very much, and I enjoyed listening to you. But yeah.
Do you
So,
have any? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Raven.
no, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, do you have any advice for Nightkind that are out there listening right now? Maybe they have the same vision for the community and they're curious about what steps they can take to get us closer.
A big thing that I recommend is just listen. Really just listen, because listen, realize you don't know everything.
Mm.
I certainly don't. I never would claim to. Admit when you're wrong and try to grow from it. And if you want to improve our community, take the steps to do it. You can do that. You are capable of that. One voice within a community can speak volumes, because if you come forward, somebody else will come forward, and then another person will come forward, and eventually you have a movement. The other thing you can do is don't be afraid to reach out. Reach out, acknowledge and chat with our elders and grandelders. Even if you don't know them, introduce yourself respectfully and get to know them. They have a lot to offer, and they have a lot of things that we can take and build into our future. You know, um, it's important to look into our history, where we've come from, how far we've come, and not repeat the mistakes of the past, because it's real easy to do that. What goes around comes around sometimes. Um, and if you have questions, I am always available to help as I can. I'm a little fish in a very big pond, but I'm always happy to help in any way I can.
If someone wants to go ahead and reach out specifically to you, what are the best ways to get a hold of you?
So I'm available on Facebook. My name on there is Tempest. And what I'll do is I have a link tree, and I can share it with you, and maybe we can put it into the description. I've got Facebook, I've got Instagram if you really want to listen to me singing, which is Stormwitch79 on there. And Smule, and I also have an email address that you're welcome to contact, which is contrixumbrarum@gmail.com. It'll be on my link tree. Email and Facebook are the best. I also have Afterlife, which I'm just getting involved with, which is kind of a cool new community. So, yeah.
Sweet. Hesperus, do you have any other questions you'd like to ask?
No, I just really want to thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your insights, your visions of the future, and your time with us. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm so grateful. Hi, Granny
Thank you.
Goth. Hi, Roncy. Love you.
Sweet.
I hope you did okay.
You did more than okay. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for being willing to share your experiences. And hopefully, this will even reach out to more Nightkind community that have been thinking about where their needs could be met, where they could find understanding, and realize they're not as alone as they think in this anymore.
Yeah,
So,
and if you need somebody to tell you, please contact me, because I'm serious about that. Really send me a Facebook message, and I'm there for you. I don't Even if I don't know you, I'm really serious. That's how I am. Hi, Madam Webb. Thank you so much, ma'am. Love ya.
all
So
right.
weird to
Well,
see all the comments on there like that.
well, Gwen or Sean, do you want to come up? I'm not sure who's back there.
Hi, Gwen.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. How are you, lady?
I'm good. I was at a dinner, and I apologize for being late.
Was it
But
delicious?
Sean's back there too, listening. Yeah, it was Litriana who is the CEO of the network. It was her birthday today, so we went to dinner.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, she'll love that. But so great conversation, guys. I've been listening, and of course Sean's still back there listening also. But interesting. I have questions, not online, but I mean not on here, but I have questions.
I got answers, maybe.
I know.
We'll see.
I know. Did you guys talk about your events coming up? I know you got some coming up soon, Raven.
So September 4th, Wilson Castle. This weekend, coming weekend, Connecticut Paracon. Come see me. It's going to be fun. We're going to be running around like crazy ducks. It'll be great. Let's see what else. Maine Paranormal and HorrorCon is coming up as well, which I will be there and with books and all kinds of things for people to grab. There's a lot of different events. I don't have all the list with me right now, unfortunately, but those are some examples. Yeah.
All right. How about everybody else? What do you got coming up?
Well, I've got a in-person event at the Green Spot here in Lansing, Michigan. It is Midnight Mass, and it's got a couple of goth DJs that are there. One of them being one of my favorite, DJ Mary X from the Satanic Temple, who's here. She's awesome. She's sought after, and I'm excited. I hope people come join us July 11th.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. You got it on your website or your
Yeah.
Facebook page?
Yeah. Oh, yes, we
Everywhere.
do. Yes, we do. And
Everywhere.
I keep on saying, please come.
Please come. Please come. Okay, that's cool. All right, we got one more person down there. He's not saying anything. He's just being quiet.
That's me.
What you got coming up?
The next new moon will be upon us on the 14th, which is just a week and a day from now. So be sure to check out my website right around that time. You should be seeing a new poem and guided meditation. And that website is reverend-hesperus.ghost.io.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool. All right, guys. Do you guys want to close out? I'll drop us two back. Is that cool? And if you'll hold on in the back, we'll get them finished, and then we'll end, and we can chit chat for a minute if that's good.
Sounds good.
All right.
Wonderful.
All right, here we go.
Thank you.
Yay, that was fun. So next week we have the wonderful Granny Goth, Ronci, coming on the show. I will have Kenneth Drake joining me for that specific episode, as Hesperus will be out of town. So, yeah. All right. With that being said, thank you so much for joining in. We'll see you next week at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Bye, everyone.
Bye.